We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
When I think about those nights in Montreal, all I think about is weed. Memories of city lights and packing bowls. Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Cannabis and Quebec County Connection with me and Loretta. How's everybody doing tonight? We're just kind of, it's hot. We're just discussing the weird weather and how weird it is and that, that we're, yeah.
Today we had some rain in Montreal. We had a heat wave a few days ago. Woo. And this is Loretta here saying hi to Wild Tea. Happy to be back here with you, Wild Tea, on Monday nights.
Absolutely.
Start the week off right. Start the week off right.
That's why we start Monday nights, right? No, that weird noise was I've got a lightning tracker on my phone. So that was just my lightning tracker going off. So I better turn that off. But like I said, we were talking about weather because it was like, last week I was saying it was miserable and kind of cloudy and not really warm. It was kind of chilly, like 10 to 13 degrees. Today it's like 35. A week later, It's been hot, and they keep warning us about thunderstorm warnings, but of course they always blow over. So Alberta and Saskatchewan are going to be, I suspect that Saskatchewan's going to be pretty active in the next day or so for tornadoes and that kind of stuff. So
is that the time of the year for this now, tornado season?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's when it gets really warm and then it cools off really quick, right? And that's what happens. You get it really warm all day with no ceiling, and then all of a sudden a bunch of clouds and thunderstorms roll in, and the heat and then heat mixes with the cold air, and next thing you know, you got a twister going. So.
Yeah, we've had like today. I mean, today was a little cooler. It was probably around 18. Like it got up to like 30. It got really, really hot. And then we've had a couple of cool days, and it was raining a little bit earlier. And I was talking to a friend in Toronto, and they had rain off and on all day. So often what happens in Toronto the day before, we get that weather the next day. Not always, but often. So I expect it'll be off and on rain tomorrow. But I like it when it thunderstorms, and I love lightning and thunder.
Me too.
I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, so. Me too. That's why they keep threatening me with a good time, and that's a fucking storm, and there hasn't been one yet. It's like but I'm hoping that maybe. But again, it's super dry, and lightning always brings fire. So we don't.
Well, that's not good. I mean, that's obviously. That must be a huge industry out there fighting fires. They got to do it also in Ontario and Quebec. We have fire season too, but it seems like it's way more intense out west.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of old growth forest. I won't say we have a lot of old growth forests because we really don't anymore. But we've got a lot of even if they're clear cut logging, like there's still undergrowth and stuff that's left behind that burns up, and then if that gets burnt up, it goes into the trees. But we also had a pine beetle issue out here for a decade, and I believe we still do have pine beetles that are stripping through the forest too. And then you've got dead trees because the pine beetles have come through and just stripped them of their needles, and then it's fair game for a lightning strike because you got dead bunky trees that have been eaten by bugs in the forest, and and that's the thing. Like, I'm not sure that they can use that wood for logging. I'm sure they probably can. They probably go in and harvest those old trees too, but to be fair, I don't know a lot about logging industry. I know a lot about conservation, and not a lot, but I know what they're trying to do is try and save our old growth forests out here. We have Fairy Creek on the island right now that they're protesting a lot on, but we also have old growth forest up at the end of Kootenay Lake, which is at the other close to Nelson, right up by Samo, and all where they do Shambhala. Like, this whole province is one big blanket of trees, really, and mountains, right? But
I mean, I also think it's kind of interesting how firefighting is something that is really changing, and it requires innovation and technology, like how they're using drones to fight fires. You know what I mean? Because they need to, because it's such a hard thing with all that people power on the ground. You
They're
know what I mean?
using drones, and they're using explosives now for even avalanche control. So that they can actually, instead of having to have guys go up and set the stuff off, they can actually do it remotely. So there's a lot of change and stuff that's happened through these industries, the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. Because I think that's one thing we don't understand, that infrastructure and transportation take care of, they don't take care of forestry and mining, that's a different portfolio, but transportation and infrastructure are a huge portfolio in each province and Canada-wide, because we've got national parks. So in the Yoho and through the Kootenay National Park, all those roads and all that area is taken care of by federal funding and federal government. And then we have certain areas that are provincial parks and provincially funded, right? So I'm sure it's the same in Quebec too. Just different because Quebec's got different rules. Like I said, they've got that, C-21 going in or wanting to go through. And I can't. And then Ontario pulling the fucking no confidence or whatever the fuck he just pulled. Like, I'm flabbergasted.
There's a right-wing government, and CAC doesn't think it's right-wing, and they don't think there's systemic racism, and then that is like state-sanctioned racism, that Bill C-21. So, it's like, it's, whatever, it's the hypocrisy of politics, and it's why people say,
well, I mean, that's the thing, like, when they want to stop people from wearing all religious, does that mean crosses too? So if you wear a cross and you're a teacher, you can't wear a cross?
So, they obviously, it's obviously easier to hide a cross, and they were going to make an exception for the cross.
Yeah, no.
Assembly, because it was historical. Obviously.
That's not even right. Like, that's just hypocrisy. Like you said, hypocrisy and more hypocrisy and more hypocrisy and more racism.
What I mean, because sadly of what happened in Ontario, hopefully they're going to go a little deeper in the conversation, and it won't, I don't know, and the courts will reject it as something that's, that can happen.
I'm quite seriously worried about world democracy, period, as it sits. Like, not just our democracy.
You're worried about Canada's democracy too?
I'm worried about everybody's democracy. I think that China and Russia could really fuck us up, considering that, like, we've got the Arctic North, and our north and Russia's expanding.
China's like already.
No, we're talking Russia. Apparently Russia. I've been watching CNN. I know you watch CNN too, but apparently Russia's been putting in super fucking, making nuclear fucking submarines and putting in all kinds of new infrastructure in the north, like building new ships. They've also set up these deep water ports on their, and they've actually deemed some parts of our Arctic as theirs already, without any, any negotiation or nothing. And they say within the next 30 to 50 years, because of climate change, the glaciers are melting. So there's going to be more waterways for trade through the north, and more ways of getting around with the world, I guess, because the glaciers aren't going to be there to stop them. I guess I'm not that familiar with what exactly is melting and not, but it'll make it so that the ship routes will be more open in the north, and that's what they're going to be fighting over. So
no, for sure. Look, you know what, because remember, I'm an optimist, and I just hope that we are like entering an age of Aquarius. We're entering a new age, and when you leave an age, that's when there is a lot of chaos. And I'm hoping these kind of leaders like Netanyahu, he got kicked out, but I don't know, I don't understand exactly how their government works.
What they've done is they've got, like, usually they had coalitions, but they've got right wing, left wing, and then they've got all these other Palestinian groups and other political parties. So it'd be like, how everybody wants to pass the post here, where you got everybody, they can be voted in whatever area. Right. So that's what they've done. So they got 61 different parties.
Wow.
To 60 seats of the So say this would be Trudeau and 61 other parties on one side, and O'Toole and 60 seats of his own party on the other side.
Wow, that is, yeah, that's crazy.
So
That's obviously
you've
it's
got one side
fractured,
with a
but
huge minority with 60%, but they've
sure.
got 61% that is
Yeah,
now going
no, no.
to
I
rule the
know. Look,
government on the other side.
everyone's democracy is seriously being challenged. There's no question about it. But like, people like leaders like him corrupt.
Putin, corrupt,
Trump
and he's in court
corrupt.
too.
Putin
Let's be
like
fair.
Putin
Netanyahu is in
most
court.
corrupt. And China corrupt. It's only like, I mean,
But
these,
their people have to rise up, and the thing of it is, in Russia, he put Natora in jail. He put his
Navalny's. I know, but
Navalny in jail,
I
right?
believe, like in the end, Navalny's gonna win. Like, and there has to be a big change, and I think it's coming. Like, I really do.
Did you not
because,
see the interview where Putin says he doesn't care if he dies in jail?
Yeah, of course he would say that. Like, and but I think that if Navalny does die, that could be when the change really happens, because that might be is what pushes people over the edge, because Navalny exposed like where all the like mansions that Putin has, and like the stripper bars he
That
has.
too, but I think a lot of their money is going into the military, and that's one thing that like I said, I want to point out. They're putting their money into their military, where we're not. Our military right now looks like a fucking quack shack fucking shit show, with sexual fucking bullshit going on. Everybody going for having golf games with fucking Vance, and
Yeah, but
410 fucking
it's only like I doubt very many militaries around the world, honestly, are much better, because we're like, we're making them deal with it. Like, where else? I don't know. I mean, look, the military, cops, whatever, all the,
But are they
they've
going to be
all
ready
like,
to fight if they had to? Are we in a position where, like I said, we're giving away more vaccines? We're not putting our tax dollars into our military. We're not buying new military equipment. The Russians are literally like arming themselves for fucking battle, and so is China, so is Iran, and Canada's just do. We
well, I don't know.
legalized
I don't know.
weed.
I mean,
We legalized weed. We're gonna put more money into I don't know,
well,
the weed
no, I
charity.
don't know about that. I
Like,
mean, look, and look, we're not like, it's not just us. It would be, America, us, UK, all of Europe. I mean, there's a
but what if
lot
we
that
got no
could be
one to
quite
send and
that.
nothing to offer?
What's that?
Said, what if we have no one to send and nothing to offer? Our government would never draft our boys like they do in the States, or our young people.
The thing is, anyways, Wild T, I think, like, the future wars are all going to be these, cyber issues. Like, they will, yes, they will continue to kill people, sadly, for a while.
They were talking today about the front lines being in our Northwest territories because of Russia. But
they're talking about what?
The front lines of a third world war, if Russia decided to push the envelope and it would be in our north. It would be in Alaska. It would be
us fighting. You think Britain's gonna like Russia?
No, again, like that's what we're seeing with the G7, with them all coming together and reissuing, the agreement from World War II. What is that signaling? It's signaling you better start growing a lot of pot in your basement and fucking buckle up, Buttercup, because fucking shit's gonna happen quick. That's what I'm feeling like. And speaking of fucking cannabis, we should probably get off the war topics and all these other.
No, I mean we're world topics. We're worldly. We speak about politics.
But exactly, that's what I'm thinking.
I believe like we're on the brink, and there's a lot of bad happening. There's a lot of violence happening, but we are moving into an era that I think will be, good. I really do. And renewal and creativity, innovation, science will be the answer. Technology will be the answer to a lot of problems. Hopefully, we have we should be able to end hunger with technology and whatever. Like, there's things that that knowledge is there, and so we need to start.
I can't believe in this day and age that we're still dealing with hunger and no water
we've got to have that.
You know what I mean? Like,
care of that, and
But the thing is, what it boils down to too is climate change. Because if everything's drying up and we don't have any water, how can we? That's a huge thing. I
Well,
mean, we got portions of
we
drought
don't
happening
have,
too, right?
we don't have any water on one hand, but on the other hand, we're about to be overcome by glaciers. So there's got to be a way to harvest that water. There has to be a way, and you know what? Some people will come up with the way. They'll be younger. They'll come up with some incredible innovation on how to harvest, these glaciers.
You absolutely have any fucking faith in our youth?
Yes, I do. I do. I think a lot of the young ones are really smart, and yeah, I do have faith in them. And I think that they understand a lot about the world too. And
I'm such a pessimist today. Eh? You really have a. I just had, like I said, I just look at the whole disrespect of our younger generations, and the fact that, like I said, the whole "do me," I'm gonna do me. I'm not gonna get a vaccine. I'm young. I'm healthy. Fuck you. I'm just gonna do myself. It just really. You could be the smartest dude in town, but as soon as you open your mouth, start saying that shit to me, it's disrespectful. I'm having a hard time with the fact that they don't have any respect, and that's
I know, but it's not just them. I'm seeing that in all ages. There's a real selfishness out there. It's not just young people. I'm just young people. I'm not really experiencing that. That's all over the map. That
just everybody. The whole COVID fatigue has gotten.
Well, people are selfish. People are selfish, and also, but now people are. I don't know. People do have COVID brain a little bit. Are people really excited to see other people and embrace them? I guess we're gonna find out. We're kind of coming out of our red zone here in Montreal, and you can feel it in the streets. Things are changing. You know what I mean? And especially, I think when it's really hot. It just feels like the virus can't. When it's hot, I don't think the virus could spread very well when it's really hot. I think
well, that's what they're finding too with the science. They see it spreads less in the summertime because the humidity levels.
It just makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes
and
sense.
it's like a winter cold virus, upper respiratory virus, right? And that's what it affects. It affects your upper respiratory system. So, like pneumonia. Like I said, I believe that they started some of the research with the RNA with the rhinovirus, and I think some of the rhinovirus kind of format proteins are used in the vaccine. Like don't quote me on that because I don't know for sure, but somewhere I think I read that something to do with the basic rhinovirus, which is what causes the common cold, right? Which they haven't been able to cure yet either, but it seems like it's kind of like dissipated and gone away too, because we're not all congenial, right? And if it needs hosts, so if you don't have people spreading because there's no hosting for this virus to have a body to host it, it eventually has nowhere to go. And I think that's what, the end result where it goes, well, what have they done to the cold? And this is just a cold, and this is just a flu. But because we've stayed away from everybody and we've washed our hands and our sanitation levels have skyrocketed through the roof, we've kind of I wouldn't say obliterated it because I don't believe we have. I believe that the virus is probably sitting dormant somewhere, just waiting to spring. But because we haven't been, congregating, we haven't been hugging and touching, and just saying, it just seems to be common sense, but sometimes that's not so common. I don't know.
Well, I think people are, and I'm way more acutely aware of my surroundings, and when I get on a bus and I can't open a window, and how many people are on the bus then, and if someone starts coughing, then I get off the bus, because it's like, if you can't get fresh air circulating in and air's not moving around, that's when it's really dangerous. To spread the virus. And, and I always felt like, okay, if I'm walking down the street, I avoid people. As a stoner, I always avoided people anyways, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I never want, just the way I walk, and I kind of...
Well, usually we're smoking a joint, you don't want anybody to notice.
I just have a way of walking, if there's a mom walking towards me with a kid, I usually cross the street, you know what I mean? I just don't want to, I just do it that way, that's how I do it. if some people coming and I don't have too much time, I sort of shake the joint in my hand, like so the smoke doesn't really rise and it's not really smelling for a little bit. You know what I mean? And kind of scurry, like whatever. So I already walk like that, anyways. So it's actually good. It's a good. In a way, it prepared me for a pandemic.
How far are you from the canal? Like how far distance wise? Like when you say you're walking along the canal, how far away is that from your place?
Well, when I walk down the street, I come up to a big intersection, and this intersection takes sometimes like 10 minutes to get under it and through it. There's a few lights. That's it. But once I'm through it, it's a 5 minute, walk. I can see the canal from there, but again, it's more lights. I live in this, junction of a busyness of, traffic and highways and whatever. But the canal's not that far. It really isn't. So, like, at the most, it takes me, 15 minutes to get there.
So, the difference in dynamics between, like, Montreal and Toronto and here, Vancouver, like, even like I said, traffic, and you walk and I drive. Well, you drive too. You just don't have any wheels right now. But I remember you driving me to the airport and picking us up from the airport in Montreal when you had your car, right? And how freaky it was to drive. Like you were driving, but it was just like, oh, like it's so busy. And when you come from a place like this where it's 2 lanes at most going down the middle of the street, like there's not 4 or 5 lanes, bunch of circle and it's culture shock, like serious culture shock.
I also I find like the infrastructure, it's not great. Everyone complains about the roads in Montreal for good reason, but what they call mergers. I call them. Oh no, they must call them here in Montreal murders.
Yeah, because nobody stops. They just kind of slam together.
But it just seems like some of them are so like all of a sudden a truck is like right in your face. Like some of them are not well thought out in terms of urban planning. They seem dangerous. Like there just seems to be a lot of dangerous points in
I find that on anywhere. Like even like we're driving to Sarah's to go to Fort St. James, and we got to Bounce Jasper wanting to get off the highway to go find something to eat, and there's nothing like getting there and realizing that you've already passed where you had to turn off because there's the signage and everything else. I mean, that's a tourist area, right? We're thinking, okay, you got all these people coming from all over the place. It was crap. Like our infrastructure in Canada is crap. Our signage, everything, because like I said, you get lost and you're fucked unless you got Google Map.
Quebec is not easy. I mean, I do love driving in Quebec, and luckily I got to drive with my ex and her girlfriend last year to Tadoussac, with parts of Quebec. Quebec is so beautiful. It's beautiful, and once you get out of Montreal, it's better driving actually, but yeah, inside of Montreal though, it's a bit of a pain for sure. Driving.
I think it's like that in any big city. When you hit Calgary, you drive into Calgary and it's like the Deerfoot, and then you drive around it to get to where Alvin's got to go on the QE2, which is the highway that runs in between Calgary, Edmonton, and Red Deer, or Calgary, Red Deer, and Edmonton. 200 people are going $1.50, like hands down. And if you're doing $1.50, they're still passing you, and you're like, alrighty then. And cops are trying. They got sheriffs. Nobody's getting pulled over. That's where Alvin totaled off that truck, or totaled off our truck by hitting a deer. Not one person stopped to see if he was okay. Nor did they stop to see the deer. They just kept running over the carcass of the deer.
Jesus.
Like that's and that's because brutal. Nobody, like, it's just like, what in the actual fuck? And that's only a 3 or 4 lane highway. I don't believe it's like the 401 out there. But that's just like the desensitization of people, and everybody's in such a fucking hurry. Why everybody should smoke a joint, take it easy. Fucking take a load off. Now that we got legalization, it's not even, not even you. That's the thing with driving, right?
I don't even really want to drive at night anymore myself, honestly.
No.
And yeah, no, that I used to drive to Toronto all the time, but they actually had one of those reality shows, on the 401. So
Yeah,
like that, because
towing show. It's a trucker, whatever.
yeah, like, because
where
the
they're
401
towing.
is, notorious because it's got the most lanes of, I think now, more than any other place in North America, even LA, I think. There's like, I don't know, 30 lanes or something on the 401, something
I don't
crazy.
know. I know that Kevin
Something
picked us,
insane.
me and
Something
Kelly up
insane.
from TY, and I got to be on the 401 in the back seat of
That's
another
not
car.
30.
I'm
But I
always
mean,
in the
it's
back
crazy. It's
seat.
probably 20.
I'm always in the back seat, so I don't really get to see much. And because I'm so little, I'm sitting in the back seat, and it's like I don't get. So I've been on those, but I don't remember. I remember going really fast and seeing lots of cars going really fast.
Well, I know, I'm not, I like, I'm someone who doesn't like to drive really fast. And, but, and I think in Quebec they drive faster. And that was something I had to get a bit used to. But I think they drive fast on the 401 too.
Yeah.
I guess they drive fast everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems.
I don't like really super fast driving though. I just don't. It doesn't feel safe to me.
I'm kind of down for that. I come from a long line of race car drivers, so stock car drivers.
Yeah, no, I know some people love it.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm.
But I'm still freaked out if somebody else is driving.
I was driving like an old lady as soon as I got my license. I've always driven like an old lady.
See, and that's the thing. Like, if somebody else is driving like that, I can't be a passenger. I'm not a good passenger because I've always been the driver. I've always been the one that had the. Well, that's not true when I was younger. Like when I was 16, all my friends got licenses before me because I was a year younger. So they all turned 16. I was 15. So I got driven around by my friends, and my parents didn't buy me a vehicle. I had to wait till I was, working as a hairdresser before I could afford to buy my own vehicle, right? So I didn't get my license or vehicle until I was 18, instead of like 16 like everybody else did, right? Mm-hmm. And I had to buy my own vehicle. My parents didn't roll up and, say, oh, here are the keys to the Mustang. I went and bought it myself. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. And that's what I told my kids. Like, I'm not giving you vehicles, so I had to buy my own. Like, get a job.
My parents are going to buy us cars. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Well, there's so many kids out there that do, though. That's the difference in, class. And that's, what's hardest for, I think, most of our youth today, too, is the difference in our Aristotle's, what's that word I'm looking for? Aristocrat. Because it's still there. The rich are rich, uber rich, and the poor are uber poor, and there's no in between. And it's been that way for decades, I know that, but it just seems to be getting worse and worse.
There's definitely more visibility of homeless, I think, in every major city in Canada right now, for sure.
And I'm not sure. Like, here's the thing. Like, we got no housing here either, and that's a problem. I think federally, where there's lack of affordable housing, because, like I said, we couldn't afford to even get a mortgage if we wanted to. Like on this place, my mom, it's in my mom's name. We're paying the mortgage on it. But I mean, if we decide to say, get mom to sell this place, we wouldn't get enough equity, or we get enough equity to barely be able to put down a down payment on a $500,000 house, because that's all that there is. That's the general price, between $350,000 to a fucking $500,000 for a 2 to 3 bedroom house out here, which is ridiculous for a small town of 20,000 people, but that's what you're looking at. So then you put down your minimum $10,000, then you're paying like a mortgage payment of over what I'm paying for rent or what I'm paying here now, right? And you're house poor. And at 50 years old, I'm sorry, I don't want to be house poor. I don't want a mortgage again. I don't want to have to deal with a 25-year mortgage at 50. I'll be 75 before I can pay it off. This house will be paid off, but we've already been in here 6. I think we got another 5 years left on it. Like, why would I get wrapped up into that? But then again, my mom thinks that I should pay her for the house, so I don't know how it's gonna fucking work. I don't know, but well, I guess we should probably thank our sponsors here. Now we got 3 minutes, but we better, we got to thank our sponsors. How's your petitions? You been dropping them off?
I have been. I've had a really good time doing it. There's some really great head shops in Montreal still. And, I really like the dudes at Psychonaut. That is like one of my favorites. St. Laurent Street is very interesting there. They have beautiful clothes in there, a lot of hemp clothes. And other types of clothes like organic cotton stuff.
And they're still open though, right? They're still open. They still maintain through the pandemic.
Yeah. I think a lot of head shops were fine. They stayed, they were fine because people actually started smoking weed, I think, more. Just like people probably had more wine, whatever. Like that's what they say, right? So. And I do think there was always lineups at the government store. I think they did. I think the pandemic was good for the government stores actually. So, I got to talk to a couple of young people because I realized I've got to have a strategy of trying to go back to the stores every week. I'm thinking like I'm gonna bring them joints. I gave a couple of them joints to try to motivate them to get people to sign the petition. And
are they willing to leave are you leaving the petition at their location?
Yeah, like I put the petitions all on
I saw you had them on nice clipboards and all. Yeah,
I made it because I thought I'm gonna make it so easy for them, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to give them joints, to whatever. They love getting the joints. And, they did. And,
hey, if the government can offer lotteries for vaccines, you can hand out joints.
Yeah, for sure. So,
you can gift whatever you want.
Some of them felt like they still had to talk to their manager about it, whatever, you know what I mean? So I figure I'm just going to keep dropping in. And if I have to talk to the manager, I will. And keep trying to sort of push it, and I if I collect a good amount of names, I'm gonna photocopy them, and I'll send a photocopy to Valerie Plante's office and a photocopy to Denny Coderre's office, and a couple of the mainstream media here I'll send it to, and really encourage them to at least debate it, during their campaign. So I
believe it's something that can be done provincially. We better thank our sponsors and take a quick break. Yeah, so we'll be back in about 3 minutes. You've been listening to us live on paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our hydroponics superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville, and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive. The only way to go.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP.
Are you interested in Canadian and international cannabis news? If you are, then catch myself, Kim Cooper, and Al Graham for our live reefer report on the Pace Radio Network, found at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
The People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada is an organization working to improve cannabis legalization in Canada. They have a mission and values that includes all Canadians, no matter where they come from. The values are including everyone, as no one should be excluded from participating, equality, diversity, advocacy, along with cannabis education and research, plus industry, safety, and professional standards. If this is an organization that has the same values as you, check them out at People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca. Once again, People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca. Check them out.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
All right, we're back after our break from our lovely sponsors. I want to thank them too, because, you know, for us to have mainstream, you know, businesses supporting us, which is great, we really appreciate that, because, you know, they are BMA Hydroponics.
Yes,
and,
absolutely. Amazing, and definitely very grateful to our sponsors for sure. And Wild Tea, I'm grateful to you too, because you sent me this beautiful package, and I've had a couple candies already, so if I'm sounding a little slower.
You know what, I was wondering, I remember when we got started, I'm like, I'm fucking tired. I can't understand why I'm tired. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I made those 1,200 milligram candies. Like, I can't remember if I sent you any or not, but I ate a half of one at probably, I don't know, 4:30. It's now 7:30, and it's like, okay, why do I feel like I need a nap? And that's
I wanted
exactly
to ask you about the papers. I've never seen those papers before.
Well, they're
Are
actually just, I don't know. They're from one of the legal stores here, and every time you go in and buy something, they send them home with you. So I figured, I don't need 20 packs of these. So,
Okay.
So I just, because I have extra. So I think they're hemp. I think they're hemp or raw paper.
Yeah, they look nice and they look natural for sure. I just never seen them. But yeah, no,
but
thank you.
Like I said, I believe they probably,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, buy them in mass and get them to put their names on them. But it's from the one pot store here in town that I go to every once in a while. So I had, like I said, a couple of extra packs laying around. I always like to throw something extra, you know, in my packages. And I was looking for actually some Cranbrook postcards and stuff too, but I haven't been able to find any.
And I love the little icy pot. Oh, I love the icy pot samples too. Thank you very much. I already put one on me, and it was really nice. I put that cream on me, one of them already.
Yeah, that's another, you know, really great product out there. Like I said, I've been using that product and you know, repping for that product for almost 5 years now, and it's amazing. Cannabis, suppositories, anything medically you need, you can get from Cannabis. So, awesome. And that's a little plug for my dear friend Sita, because
absolutely.
she does. She's the master. She's got, you know, she's got the touch. She's got the knowledge. She's super uber and smart, and I trust her.
Product. Yeah, fantastic product. I really enjoyed the dab I got of it.
Yeah.
And a nice little brooch about, you know, good women rarely make history. Well, you know,
well-behaved women rarely make history. You betcha.
I was never I was always the badly behaved one. So I was definitely meant to make history. Let's see if my petition makes
actually, those pins, Mel bought, and she's selling them and then donating the money to the Diabetes Association in honor of Tracy Curley.
Okay.
So that's why I bought a pen, and she's bringing me more out because she's coming to see me finally. So she's coming out here in July, and so when she comes, I'll get her to bring me some more of them. But yeah, no, like I said, she's selling those on her website to raise money for diabetes so that she can donate it to the Diabetes Association in honor of Tracy, I believe, for her birthday, I think. Yeah, something along the lines. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, we were discussing the fact that I got a broody hen. So along with the fact that I grow cannabis, right? I've got my cannabis plants that are doing absolutely amazing right now. I also raise quails and chickens, right? And I got these two. What's chirping?
Farm girl.
What's chirping? Yeah, as I live in the city, but I'm totally farm. And I've got these 2 chicks in a Rubbermaid container in my living room. So if you hear chirping, that's what it is. It's my sulky chicks. But I have a broody hen out the back, and I can't have a rooster because I live in town. But this one hen wants to lay on the eggs, which isn't good. You can't just leave unfertilized eggs under a chicken for 21 days. They don't rot, but I mean, it's just not fair to the chicken, right? Like,
okay.
Anyways.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, so I have another friend of mine that lives just outside of city limits that's got roosters. And so she brought me in 2 duck eggs and 2 Polish hen eggs, or 2 Polish chickens and selkies, and I don't know, some black copper marmons. And yeah, we were talking about the fact that our hens are hard to get because people have quit breeding because of the adopt don't shop, right? So even like now, you can't sell chicken eggs or any eggs online, like, or on Facebook. It's considered against their community standards to sell even chicken eggs, even for food. Like, I'm not selling them so you can get them and hatch them and breed them. I'm selling them so you can eat them for food, and you can't even advertise them.
They don't want people to sell
anything.
Agriculture or food or cheese
any food. Like they'll let you sell plants and like tomato plants and that kind of stuff, but anything having to do with animals, they will not let you sell, which includes eggs.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I'm having such a hard time selling my eggs.
Is there any other online platform, do you think?
Well, Kijiji, but Kijiji's pretty, like, people don't really shop Kijiji much, I don't think. I don't know, I don't get too much action on Kijiji. But, but again, like, it's like these farmers markets. I could take my eggs to the farmers market and why can't I take my cannabis, And then that news report that came out last week, too, we should talk about that. In BC here. Well, in British Columbia, our safety and health, not health minister, our safety minister or whatever, for pot, or what is he, Farnsworth there, fuckface, decided that they were going to go and test a bunch of illicit cannabis. And they're saying it's full of pesticides and toxins and all kinds of stuff. But did they test it and then test the legal stuff too? Or did they just go out and test what they found on the street? But they came out with this great big galloping report saying that anything from the black market was full of pesticides and toxins and all kinds of BS. It was just BS. Because, again, they don't want us growing our own pot, right? So illicit is anything that, you or I could have a license to grow 100 plants. So we're, anything we might have that we, shared with a friend is full of toxins, apparently. And full of pesticides because we don't care about our plants, which is bullshit because we're growing it for medicinal purposes. So why would we not care about what we're putting into our plants? So it's more propaganda coming out of the fucking bloody government. And this is the NDP government in British Columbia, which I find really fucking appalling.
Wow.
Right? They have to justify their fucking units, their community safety units that go in and take and fucking steal fucking from the stores that aren't legal. And they still do that. There's still people that are running illegal stores. I don't know exactly where, but there are. And some of them are on reserve, some of them aren't. And they don't want them to be, they don't want them to be operational unless they're buying from the LBD and paying their taxes. Pay your taxes. Let's pay your taxes.
There's a feeling that they're leaving the indigenous ones alone across the country, isn't there?
No, they didn't. They just busted a bunch of them out in New Brunswick or Nova Scotia.
Did they?
I think so. Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I saw something come across my.
Quebec, it's Oka. In Quebec, it's Oka, and Oka has a terrible history. And
they won't bother with Oka, I don't think. That would be just like
the history, and there seems to be a sense of safety out there because of that history.
Well, I guess that could be too. Like I said, I don't know if they're bothering so much with these guys out here either, right?
Lots of places have history. That's the thing, right?
But I know the Blood Tribe in Alberta, like they're out protesting about having any drugs of any kind on their reserves. So I don't think that cannabis has been foreseen as anything more than that. I'm not sure where their stance is. I'm not out there anymore.
Yeah, there may be some that don't want this. I'm sure there's some that don't want it for sure, but. Yeah. The ones that have it, boy, do they have it! And I'm hoping there's a confidence that they won't be disturbed.
Well, they shouldn't. They're on their own sovereign land.
So
the RCMP shouldn't be able to touch them. But some
you're
of them
saying it already happened though in New Brunswick?
I think it was Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, but I think I seen it come across Al's page or somebody's page. But I believe there was
a raid. Okay.
Yeah, raid on the reserve and it was First Nations land. So Six Nations. Here it is. Six Nations marijuana dispensary.
Mm-hmm.
When was this? That was 3 years ago. So that's old. June 4th, 2021, 5 people are facing charges after 3 cannabis dispensaries are raided in Millbrook, First Nations on Wednesday. So that was June 4th of this year. So it was in Millbrook, First Nations. So that's Nova Scotia. So that was June 4th, and that's 5. But then Heidi out in Nova Scotia, she got all her charges dropped. And I'm not sure where her charges stem out of 2 different places. And, they dropped all her charges. So that's, they're going in and they're raiding again, yet they're dropping charges on one end of things and raiding on the other. Like, it's not inconsistent. 5 people facing charges of 3 cannabis.
It's really unfair. There should be a mechanism to let medical exist. It's totally unfair. It shouldn't be that, like, there should be some way, like, they should, like, even if they say, okay, then you medical dispensaries, every bit of your cannabis has to be tested, that would be fine, and maybe you'd have to sell 50% LP stuff.
I guess apparently it says in this article that they were getting increasing complaints from, like, and the RCMP does run on complaints, right? But she goes, the raids came as results of increased community complaints. So obviously somebody on that in that area doesn't like them doing that.
I know, you never know. It could be
the competition. You just never know. It could be
the indigenous community. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't, like you say, some of them, when they say they don't like all drugs, they see cannabis as a drug.
Well, that's the worst part about it, right? They haven't really accepted it as a medicine, and even if it is legal,
even though the word stoner is indigenous.
I know. That's what we call
I love that story. Like, I think it's a really cool story, and it's like, okay, like, we're not indigenous, but we're stoners, and it's an indigenous term, and I identify with it because the stoners were the juvenile brats. And look at all the stoners we know who are fucking juvenile brats. A lot of them.
we call Alvin's cousin Tony stoner.
Including myself sometimes. Yeah. They were the brats who, they were getting stones thrown at them and they were defying authority. They weren't afraid of authority. And a lot of stoners I know do have a bit of that, persona, and it's really important to have that in society. Actually, that's not afraid of authority. It really is, because I don't think you can have a democracy without having some of that attitude. And usually it's youth, and it shines the most in youth, and we wanna be glad of it. Absolutely.
Need to embrace the diversity of everybody, and that's, and acceptance, right?
Yeah, or to challenge authority, that it's okay to challenge authority. Like, the moment
ask questions always, right?
And even, even risking authority, getting mad at you or whatever, but the moment you can't challenge authority, your society, your democracy is already in, a bad disrepair. You have to have like that challenging spirit always. It's always got to be there for democracy.
Yeah, I agree. Well, like I said, we ask questions,
This
but
is the spirit for sure.
Democracy is something that we all have to strive to keep. We just have to, like, no matter what your stance is on anything, like, but we need to all be working forward to, keeping democracy in our country, because if we lose that, we do lose our freedom. And that's where people think, this is a lockdown. No, we've had COVID. No, we've lost our freedoms. You know what, buddies? This is nothing. I don't see any. This is nothing.
But everyone should get more engaged with democracy and with politics. Absolutely.
You know what I found out today? That I love owls, right? I collect owls. Did you know that a group of owls is called a parliament?
No, I didn't.
Neither did I, but that's apparently why, must be the reason why I love owls so much, because I love Parliament too, right? It's just kind of fitting. It's like, oh, a bunch of owls are called Parliament.
They are a beautiful looking bird, and they're kind of mysterious, and, they make a really sweet noise at night, and the way that their head turns. And when they're little, they look so cute. Like, there's nothing cuter than, like, little fluffy baby owls.
Until they're coming for your chihuahua.
Snowy white ones. What?
Until they're coming for your chihuahua.
Oh my God! Yeah,
we had one on the farm that was as big as I was, and we hit one snow owl one time coming back home on the farm too with the truck, and it cracked the front grill of the truck. It didn't die. It flew away, but it left good crack in the grill of the truck.
Wow.
But yeah, they're big. Wow. Depending on which one, like a horned owl and some of these big horned owls and barn owls that we had out in central Alberta, and the snow owls are beautiful, but they're huge. So like
and
I
they
said,
would pick up dogs and cats.
You betcha, like nothing.
They would pick up dogs and cats. I take it.
Yeah, like nothing. There was many a cats you seen in the middle of the road because they were dropped by something flying. Because out there, but gophers too. That was another thing. You'd see the heck. But that's from all the hawks and the owls, right? And the year that we didn't have the gophers, we had the long winter, and the gophers couldn't get up. The wolves and the coyotes were terrible that year. We had to watch every dog, like you couldn't let them out because they were so close to the house because they were so hungry because there was no gophers. Because if they died in the ground, right? They only store so much food, and we had a long winter. They couldn't get out. They were buried in snow, so they died. And yeah, there was no vermin for the predators, and the predators were hungry, and they were looking for chihuahua and baby cows and anything they could get their lips on that year. Yeah, yeah. It's just the way like I said, nature, human nature, and animals, and the circle of life. It's not fair, right?
I walk along the canal here in Montreal, almost every day. And this year, I'm seeing a lot of. I'm wondering if they're gophers, or I was thinking they were called something else. Like I'm seeing so many of them this year compared to other years.
Ground squirrels or groundhog, like.
They may be. They could be little groundhogs actually, but or if they're not gophers, hedgehogs maybe.
No, hedgehogs. I don't know. Hedgehogs are nocturnal, and they've got spiky little backs.
Well, some of them look like they have a little bit of spiky back, but anyway, so they're creatures that seem to be in abundance this year when they haven't been, in other years.
Right.
Because you don't usually see groundhogs very much. I don't, on my whatever travel.
Well, I mean, you're in the city, you're in Montreal. I don't know if they're indigenous to that area either. Like I said, the elk are really moving in here too, like closer to town where they used to be up in the back more. I think the fires have really navigated where our wildlife is moving to. And the fact that we're building and people are, our rural areas are getting smaller because we're building out. I mean, there's lots of housing being built. It's just super expensive to get into anything. So it's unattainable. I don't know how people are going to be house poor. People are going to be, I'd hate to see what the housing market's going to be like in a couple of years. Either people are going to be losing their houses, or they're going to be so unattainable that nobody's going to be able to do.
I don't really understand how it happened, but it seems to be that there's a lot of people with money during the pandemic that seem to create real estate going up in price.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened either.
Like everywhere across Canada, I think real estate's gone up like considerably.
It totally has, and like I said, I don't understand that, especially when people weren't working. So where was their money coming from? And how is it banks are giving mortgages during a pandemic?
It just
when people were deferring mortgages.
It seems like there's a lot, it seems like every city's got, the homeless problem is much worse since the pandemic. And we know a lot of people probably died who were on the street. We know that. Like, they were more vulnerable and, so there's more people on the street. Every city's got tent city.
And substitution programs are needing.
And the housing prices are going up like crazy. Like, Montreal prices have, like, doubled, it seems, which is crazy.
Here
so
too.
I don't understand how the economy works. It's like,
yeah.
I wish I did. I wish I knew.
I just wish I knew what was driving it too, because like I said, it doesn't seem logical for everybody to be out of work, for everybody to have no money, for housing to triple over a pandemic.
I don't know what like Vancouver, but I mean, and Montreal was always really, really low, lower than everywhere else, like compared to Vancouver, Toronto, say. But now it's like really. I mean, Toronto's crazy high, but Vancouver was always insane.
It still is insane. And like I said, now that craziness is making it its way here. Where even a one-bedroom apartment in Cranbrook's $1,140.
Yeah, that's pretty high. It's
unattainable, but they just raised the minimum wage out here to $15.20. So that's still like only $2,000 a month. It's still not.
Good. That's like, at least they raised it to that, because that doesn't exist in Montreal.
Yeah, no, apparently that's what servers are being paid $15.25 an hour now or something. For minimum wage. I don't know if that's for everybody, like cashiers and everybody else, but that was what they said for servers.
Well, it's got to be. If it's minimum wage, then it's for everyone.
Right, you'd think so.
Well, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I just thought I heard my kid squealing and falling out of a chair. I heard a thump, and it was like, what the heck is going on up there now?
Well, you got your mother's ear.
I got a headset on, so, you wouldn't think that I'd be noticing, but all of a sudden it was like, the thud shook the house. So, I don't know what the heck, because, like, he's a big kid, so, his room isn't that big, so, yeah. He's bouncing around up there, obviously, having fun, doing God only knows what, but at least he's, almost this last 2 weeks of school, thank God. I think I'm more sick of school than he is. Just the redundancy of getting up every day, make a lunch, drive him to school. Like, why am I doing this? I keep thinking to myself. My mom wasn't doing this. My mom sent us on a bus. We got up on our own, made our own lunches. Got ourselves off to school. Like, I don't get this whole, taxi service.
Yeah. Well, you're a typical parent of today, and the parent of today tends to do a lot for their kid. That's it.
They seem to expect a lot out of the parent of today, it seems. Because I don't remember being this expected of, everybody looking at you like, did you make sure that your kid had this in their lunch?
I mean, can he take a bus? Like, is there a bus service? No?
No.
Well,
not really.
So thank God you have a car, so that's good.
Yeah, no, I can drive him, but he can ride his bike. He just doesn't have a lock yet, and after the bike fiasco, we're not sending him off to school without a bike lock. So, can't ride his bike to school yet, because I haven't been able to get him a bike lock. But I will probably be able to do that in the next couple of days, and then he could ride his bike, which would be epic. But it's been so hot, I don't know if I want him riding his bike in 30 above weather either. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems kind of I don't know, you know, what's safe and what's not, and what I think is, you know, isn't that bad, he thinks is, oh my God. You can't do that. You can't tell him the story where he walked 20 miles, you know, up a hill, you know, smoking 10 joints to get to school, because that doesn't work for him.
You know, it's just expected of, you know, the older generation to complain of the younger generation. I mean, it's just kind of in the DNA to do that, though, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hope our young people, you know, hear us. So let's hope our young people hear us and take some of our advice and keep pushing the limit, and keep pushing it forward, and keep pushing towards, you know, anti-racism and anti-Semitic, you know, all this anti-stuff that we need to change, and make sure that these things and mistakes that we've made never happen again. And that's what I keep hoping, instead of, you know, raising another generation of narcissistic Nazis. So,
you know, I mean, it's there is always an evolution going on for sure. But you know, like we, you know, having leaders like Putin, it's when Putin goes, and you know, and the leader of Xi of China, like, you know, those Hong Kong protesters. I mean, they're not giving up. Like, they're maybe, you know, strategizing.
In Myanmar. And in Myanmar, there's still like hardly any word. They're still like, you know, they still got them.
Too. Like, there's like so many are fighting for it, and in Russia, like Navalny has so many people, you know, fighting with him. I mean,
like,
you know,
I said, who the fuck was I talking to?
We gotta help democracy win. Like,
Russia went from being a czar system to being a communist system to almost being a czar system again, with Putin being the czar. You know what I mean? Because, you know, before it was, you know, the Prince Nicholas, that was, you know, berating his people and making us, they were starving in the late 1800s, where they had the uproar and the civil uprise, and they, you know, threw them out, and everybody ran to different countries. Well, you know, why we have a lot of Russian immigration here, Polish immigration here, you know, Hungarian immigration here.
They assassinated them.
Well, exactly, like Alexandria too. Like, there's so much, and like I said, but that's with almost the same system they've gone back to. Is where you've got one, you know, Putin, where he's gonna like laugh at fucking Biden, like he's just a fucking.
Well, it's just like, you know, he's supposed to be like, you know, because it's a communist country, he's supposed to be like, you know,
not though. The communism has fallen.
Of like 180,000 whatever rubles, like, you know what I mean, like where he's just like taken and taken and taken and taken, and he has all these palaces or whatever. So he lies about his lifestyle to his people, right? But, you know, I think the people are caught on and they're not buying it. And he, you know, as much as he can control social media, you know, but people do, you know, I mean, I'm sure they're much more afraid to, you know, criticize the government on their social media or pass around photos. Like, I'm sure they are, because they do get thrown in jail and really badly treated and murdered by Putin. But, you know, that's all got to change, and hopefully it's going to. I hope so, within the next couple of years. And Navalny's going to be key. He is. Like, if it's because they kill him or he gets set free, like, something's going to happen. Yeah. That he's going to be key to the end of the Putin era, for sure.
All right, well, our hour is up.
What?
It is.
It always goes by so
fast. I know, right? I was going to say, we haven't even talked about weed today.
We hardly did. We're, you know, international.
That's all right. That's what we do. We can talk about anything we want.
We're international political junkies today. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot going on worldwide. Like I said, G7 and everything else going on.
You know, as an optimist, I've got to inject my optimism. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you're getting your petitions out, so that's political stuff too, because those petitions are, you know, instrumental with, you know, and why anything, you know, sign petitions. Reach out to your MPs, even if it's international. Talk to your MPs if it's federally, if you feel like it's something having to do with, you know, China and how you feel about Russia.
Get
engaged, stand up and do something. And sending love out to our brothers and sisters out there. And again, I want to acknowledge as well that I am sitting on Tanaha Akam land. And I love out to all our Indigenous brothers and sisters too. And I'm acknowledging them and holding my heart open. So, you have a good night, everybody. And say goodbye, Loretta. I guess we're done.
Peace out. Peace out.
About those nights in Montreal, all I think about is weed.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
The People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada is an organization working to improve cannabis legalization in Canada. They have a mission and values that includes all Canadians, no matter where they come from. The values are including everyone, as no one should be excluded from participating, equality, diversity, advocacy, along with cannabis education and research, plus industry, safety, and professional standards. If this is an organization that has the same values as you, check them out at People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca. Once again, People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada.ca. Check them out.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
The People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network provides its listeners with news, information, and a place to be heard. This is done with a twice-weekly broadcast of the Reefer Reporters and by providing cannabis advocates a place to be heard through Cannabis and Coffee with Marijuana and the award-winning Pace Radio Show. Catch it all here at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
What is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network? It's a network of people advocating cannabis education.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888.
the only way to go.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.